Welcome to the second stage of our course, in which we try to learn from the past of Adventist ecclesiological reflection. We're going to focus on the concept of remnant today and other complementary ecclesiological metaphors which all contributed together towards shaping Adventist general ecclesiological outlook, remnant ecclesiology. First, we're going to start with a short recap of what we said so far, that Adventism, which grew in recent years, faces many challenges to retain unity, remain relevant in the world which is changing drastically from year to year, and then to also a challenge to interact successfully with other Christians and non-Christians. All these three needs require further ecclesiological engagement. Enjoy the class. Yes. So these competing views of what the church means, each group that we mentioned, historical, evangelical, and progressives and so on, each group, they have their own perception of what the church is and what the role of the church is. And these are competing, creating confusion and identity crisis that we're witnessing today. So we are technically, we don't have a unified view, and this necessitates further thinking about ecclesiology. Yes? Mm-hmm. Are you saying that the concept of remnant can also be updated, that sometimes it can sound weird to other people, and if you say you're a remnant, it's a bit exclusivist, it's a bit arrogant, or like, oh, you are remnant, special ones. Yes. And often what will happen is our experience of the church is more complex than experience of early Adventists, because they are functioning within a smaller community, and certain simpler solutions, organizational, structural, could work at their time. Now when you have so many different cultures, so many different people, you actually have to think, okay, how do we put all that together? Logistics of it, are the old structures relevant for us today? Do we need to rethink those? Do we need to rethink some other things that we are doing in order to adapt to this massive change that we are experiencing every day? So this relevance is very important. What about interaction with others? Why would ecclesiology be needed for that? Yes. And if you don't really understand where we stand and who are we, how do we interact with others? Yeah, exactly. Very good. So all of those are needs in our church which require from us to actually think more about the church. And General Conference did perceive this need in 1984. They voted ecclesiology as a primary project, theological project of our church. But due to different issues that they had, they never fully finished this project. So it's unfinished project of Adventism. And that hence the need for this kind of reflection that we are having here today, to push these borders, to try to think for our church and update our ecclesiology. So, before we start, let's pray. Now, interestingly, that if you do a literature survey or review of Adventist ecclesiology, you will notice that the literature is very scarce. Literature is fragmentary and often reactionary, unlike the mainstream Christian ecclesiology, which is, we have a lot of writings, a lot of authors articulating the whole systems, balanced systems in the last 50 years, and they're learning from each other. They're in a continual academic conversation and being able to really articulate mature ecclesiology. Adventists, they had other concerns, so they focus on those. Therefore, when you really want to find something, even when I want to recommend you some Adventist writings, I function and operate within very limited scope, because there are only few people who really wrote something about it. Usually, there are articles writing about different issues related to ecclesiology, but not ecclesiology per se, Maybe even some articles about ordination or structure or, issues that are being treated, but often very scarcely and in a very fragmentary way, not being aware of the larger picture. And when I say reactionary, I mean that we often build ecclesiology in response to immediate crisis or need. We really need this, something that doesn't work well, and then we need to think issues through. And often this has been the case of theology. Often heresies and challenges and crises provoke and stimulate further thinking about ecclesiology or about different issues. So the same thing is in our church. So that's what I see. This is the condition of ecclesiology, but this does not apply to the concept of remnant. Concept of remnants has been taken as the main self-descriptor of Seventh-day Adventists. So this, if you want to really see something distinctively Adventist and somehow to explain yourself, you can't really avoid this concept. We might not like it today, it doesn't sound good maybe in our ears, but maybe because we don't understand really what's behind. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to go back and to try to learn from the past. So today, that's what we're doing today. From the beginning, from 1844, from the inception of the movement till today, 2018, how this Adventist discourse about the church developed. Okay? And we are especially going to study, the first focus area will be the concept of remnant, because this is not only concept, this is the almost integrative principle. Everything else that we say about the church is somehow united under this umbrella, so to say. Concept of remnant is actually a remnant ecclesiology. And then we are going to discuss other concepts that are used to describe what the nature of church is. And these concepts are usually integrated under this big remnant theology. So even though we have other emphasis and other metaphors and ways of speaking about the church, usually they are still shaped with this remnant thinking about reality and ourselves. And then what we're going to do is we're going to try to do justice to what this concept means and to really see the excitement that this concept can actually provoke in our hearts and our mind. You know, there's something exciting happening there. So it's not completely thing that which can be rejected today, but maybe some things need to be revised. That's why we're going to do a SWOT analysis. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And we're going to see from the point, a bit more distant point, okay, what is good about it and what can be improved. Once we identify the improvement areas, then we are going to think, oh, how do we go beyond that? How do we enhance our ecclesiological perspective? Where can we actually progress? What can we learn from others? And this then opens our way towards mainstream ecclesiology. That's what we're doing tomorrow, to see can we learn something from other people, maybe some building blocks and some tools that we can borrow from them and actually try to enhance our remnant theology. Okay, so this is the basic 4 focuses or foci points of today's presentation.